What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well over you. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're ready for the weekend. Today is Friday, July 29th, 2022, and for today's edition of BTB Daily. We're wrapping up our first week of doing this. In case you're new around here, welcome to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Please do subscribe. We are starting something new this season. It is a Blogging the Boys YouTube exclusive. Every single day, every single afternoon from now through the Super Bowl, obviously, we'll be live talking about the state of the Dallas Cowboys, what's going on, what the latest story is, the injury reports, whatever the case may be. And obviously right now we are talking Dallas Cowboys training camp. The Cowboys held their third practice of camp on Friday out in the sunny fields of Oxnard, California. It's starting to feel a little bit more real. The first couple of days obviously always have a little bit of a first day at school vibe, and you're kind of starting to settle in, trying to settle in and figure out what's what and what not. But I think we're starting to get to a point where we can have some legitimate takeaways. We have some kind of roster news, some important roster news, some news around the division as well. So a big show to get to today. So hope all of you are having a great day and have some fun weekend plans in store. Let's go ahead and get started with our training camp reaction here. And CeeDee Lamb is starting to separate himself a bit. We're going to get to the catch of the day because we have seen the catch of training camp so far for the Dallas Cowboys. But we're starting to see CeeDee Lamb kind of evolve, right? We know that this is an important season for CeeDee Lamb. You got to establish yourself as that wide receiver one, as the alpha, as the top dog. We found out this week that Michael Gallup officially placed on the PUP list. He said yesterday after practice that he was not going to be ready for week one. So the expectation, the pressure, the responsibility, however you want to put it, is completely and totally on CeeDee Lamb, for the entire year, for the next few years. This is CeeDee Lamb's world, basically the wide receiver position, although TJ Vasher might have something to say about it. But CeeDee Lamb had a nice catch in the corner of the end zone, courtesy of Dak Prescott. So it's nice to see him, kind of evolving in the right way. That was one of two important plays, or nice plays, I thought, from CeeDee Lamb. The second one's a little bit harder to see. It's on the far side of the field from where cameras are positioned. But CeeDee Lamb had a one-handed catch. And look, one hand counts the same as two. So if you need to use two, CeeDee, but it never hurts to show off just a little bit. Good for CeeDee. Like I said, we want to start seeing him evolve and take the reins as the top receiver on the team. There's nobody really to challenge him for that right now. It's not like there's a list of would-be names up and down the Dallas Cowboys roster, but still very good to see. Trayvon Diggs got on the board. We are all very anxious to see what 2022 is going to have in store for Diggs. Is he going to be able to repeat his interception numbers from 2021? Is he going to be able to come close to it? Is the regression of the mean going to hit him the way we all kind of expect? Well, Trayvon Diggs, it took him 3 days, but he did get his first interception of camp. And look, it's a training camp interception. It's not exactly the biggest deal in the world, but it is nice to see these positive things start to pile up and build a little bit of momentum. I am, I'm excited. I think you're excited. Trayvon Diggs, obviously, there's a lot riding on him. This week in The Athletic, Bob Sturm had a great write-up about Trayvon Diggs and what kind of player he is. We've talked about that for so long, this high-risk, high-reward, this kind of ultimate variance, this all or not. This is a big year for Trayvon Diggs. It's a big year for the class of 2020 for the Dallas Cowboys. We were all super hyped up about it when it initially happened. We haven't talked a ton about Neville Gallimore. Obviously, his name is kind of swirling in the mix as well. There's a lot of bodies there in the middle of the Cowboys defensive line, but every single one of them's really got to kind of come up big. It's that time once you're starting to hit year 3. Trayvon Diggs did have an interception. Anthony Brown did not, but Anthony Brown did get a shout out from Mike McCarthy. Mike maybe watches BTB Daily, maybe subscribes to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. We were talking about here on Thursday's episode how people need to respect Anthony Brown. I do get it. I do understand why. I think people are so people refuse to separate who Anthony Brown is from the bad moments. He unfortunately had his 2 worst moments of the season last year in these really visible times. It was week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously not an easy assignment going up against Antonio Brown. And then he really struggled on Thanksgiving Day against the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of people saw that. A lot of people just kind of decided that he sucked or he was trash or he was terrible. But Anthony Brown is really serviceable. Anthony Brown is a really solid corner, really solid player. Had, again, not an interception, but a nice play nonetheless on Friday. Now, on the subject of Anthony Brown and the subject of kind of where things are at, I don't want to read into anything. I've been saying that all week long, how we need to kind of temper our expectations. It's still super duper early. We're only 3 practices in here. And we don't have, I think, any sort of concrete evidence to make any outlandish claims. But I do think that we're starting to get just a little pieces, right? We're kind of in the appetizer portion of the meal. We've had the bread or the complimentary, soup or whatever they serve. And we're starting to kind of get a little bit, interested in this restaurant, so to speak. And Mike McCarthy had a very interesting comment in his press conference on Friday. He said that Kelvin Joseph has done some dynamic things on special teams. That was what Mike McCarthy said. Okay, fine. Again, I don't want to read super into what Mike McCarthy's saying, but we're not expecting Kelvin Joseph to do dynamic things on special teams. We're expecting Kelvin Joseph to do some impressive things overall. We need to see that step. We need to see that growth. We need to see that leap. We want to see Kelvin Joseph turn into an elite defender. Forget about special teams. It's an important side of the ball, but it really is insignificant in the grand scheme of why Kelvin Joseph was drafted. We've all kind of envisioned him pairing with Trayvon Diggs, what they can offer on the outside, working as the Cowboys' top 2 corners. And so this was an interesting comment nonetheless. Now, Mike McCarthy, obviously has evaluated this roster and understands where things are at. And I don't know that Kelvin Joseph has had a bad camp so far. I don't think anybody's had a bad camp because it's been 3 days. You can't, like I said, come to terms in a serious way about anybody having even a good camp. You can just start to collect data. That's the point that we're at. But Kelvin Joseph has been on the wrong end of some nice moments for other receivers. The Cowboys official account had their inside training camp show that they do that aired on Wednesday. And in that episode, Dennis Houston had a nice moment against Kelvin Joseph. And so we're kind of starting to see just a few other people, have these moments. And again, that doesn't mean Kelvin Joseph's terrible, but it would be nice the way we're starting to see CeeDee Lamb kind of separate himself, the way we're starting to see, Trayvon Diggs have a moment, Anthony Brown. It would be nice to see Kelvin Joseph get in the mix. Jaron Kearse has had some nice moments so far. It feels like we're getting what we want to see everywhere else, but we're not getting it from Kelvin Joseph, the football player. And so that's just, a little tiny, teeny, microscopically bit concerning, but there's still plenty of time, obviously, to figure things out as far as Kelvin Joseph is concerned. Let's move on. Let's get to a quick highlight here. Let's look at some pass rushers here. A lot of people have a lot of high hopes and a lot of high expectations for Sam Williams, Dallas Cowboys second-round pick out of Ole Miss. Obviously had a lot of success in the SEC. We've talked about that a billion different times. Sam Williams went up against Tyron Smith on Friday and found out how difficult of a proposition that can be. Yeah, it ain't easy. It ain't easy working against Tyron Smith, Sam Williams. Again, that's just life in the NFL. You just got to kind of learn and grow and kind of take your lumps sometimes when you go up against Tyron Smith, who said that he feels stronger, by the way, than he has in a long time this year, this particular training camp. A different pass rusher, someone who has taken Sam Williams under his wing a little bit, is DeMarcus Lawrence. And I know that there are people who feel like he's not good, but DeMarcus Lawrence has started to pop a little bit too, having the moments that you're kind of expecting. You can't have these huge, massive highlights from pass rushers or defensive players in general right now, but we're starting to see those little kind of baby steps that show that there's a lot to be excited about here in 2022. On this play, Dak Prescott does connect with CeeDee Lamb, but it would have been a DeMarcus Lawrence sack if this was in game.
Holding defense, penalties declined, touchdown. Tuesday.
Good to see DeMarcus Lawrence and good to see him, coming along. That's where we're at here. I think with 3 days of camp under our belt now, this is what we want to see. We want to start to see these flash is not the right word, but just these pop moments, like these. You want to see like the beginning of water starting to boil, the little bubble. I'm talking about the little bubbles before water starts to full out boil. That's what we want to be starting to see here 3 days into training camp. Obviously, there's no more kind of first day jitters. There's no more kind of settling yourself in. You're in it now. You should be ready to roll and you should be ready to rock and you should be at the place where a lot of these players are. That's what we're starting to see. We've seen a lot of great highlights. I think today, Friday, might have been the most highlight filled day, and the reason for that that was the Cowboys did some red zone work. Mike McCarthy talked about that during his press conference on Friday. Shout out to friend of the show, Dave Helman, who tweeted kind of through a breaking the fourth wall perspective that, days like this really do kind of serve up the best content, because that's what we want to see, right? We want to see these big plays in the end zone, whether they're catches or touchdowns or interceptions or diving toe tap catches, whatever. Speaking of toe tap catches, there's a lot of room to improve the wide receiver group on the Cowboys. We've been talking about how they should bring in some external veteran free agents. Noah Brown getting in the mix. The Cowboys official count sharing this. Look at Noah Brown. It's just one catch. It's just one toe tap catch. So nobody's freaking out, but still good to see. It's important. I think that's what we have to really, I think, continually contextualize with ourselves, is we need to see these moments from different receivers up and down the roster. We want to see Cowboys receivers pop because it's CeeDee Lamb for right now, and then it's not much else. Yeah, we're expecting Jalen Tolbert to show up. We're kind of waiting on that other person to start to evolve, and I think we all know who that person is. All right, TJ Vasher. Now, I know that there are a lot of Cowboys fans who also root for Texas Tech. I don't identify with that. It's a Texas A&M Aggie. But there are a lot of people who have been saying, watch out for TJ Vasher. I'm telling you, trust me, TJ Vasher, that's it. That's the one. People tweeting this, people saying that. TJ Vasher, he's going to hit. He's going to come along. You just wait and see. You wait, RJ. TJ Vasher, he's going to shut you up. He's going to prove to everybody who he is. And we know that, wide receiver is easy is not the right way to put it, but it's one of the easier ways to crack in as an undrafted free agent in the NFL. Obviously, TJ Vasher still very early in his NFL career. The Cowboys kept him around a year ago. I mean, he was injured, but still kept him around. Obviously, like what he has to offer, and there has been a lot of hype and a lot of chatter swirling around him as the offseason has gone along. And on Friday, he showed why. Before we get to the catch, let's show a very beginning part of practice, kind of the opening moments. TJ Vasher showing off. We didn't exactly know what was going to come yet, but this is still nice to see. I think it's important to show the evolution of TJ Vasher on Friday afternoon. That's the wrong highlight. That's Kevontae Turpin. But still, let's just play the highlight. Kevontae Turpin look good. Let's just play this highlight very quickly. Then it's the TJ Vasher. This was the TJ Vasher clip I was trying to play a moment ago. Again, from the beginning of practice. We're going to get to the catch in just a second. And that was the catch where I had the thought that I talked about a little while ago. It's not like a huge deal. He didn't burn Kelvin Joseph, but he's working up against Kelvin Joseph. So in back-to-back days, Dennis Houston and TJ Vasher have gotten the better of Kelvin Joseph. Again, I'm not saying you need to panic or Kelvin Joseph sucks or anything like that, but it's just worth talking about is really what we're doing. But okay, enough hype. TJ Vasher had the catch of camp so far. I know it's only been 3 days, but this is going to be difficult to top. I mean, I would argue maybe CeeDee Lamb is only the player who's capable of doing this. This is sick. Shout out to Mike Leslie from WFAA for capturing this, for slowing it down at the perfect moment. TJ Vasher absolutely mossed Kelvin Joseph. That's awesome. Look at Will Grier coming in. I threw that pass. I made it so that you had to one-hand that thing, baby. You tell him, Will Grier. I mean, just an awesome moment. A great moment. Really awesome. This is, we've been saying it forever, right? Like, hurry up, camp. We need to see these highlights, whatever. Man, we've been saying it all week long, too. It feels like football. Football's back, blah, blah. This is when it feels like football's back. I know it's still this summer. I know it's still July, but it really feels like football season is back and on the way and building and rising and glowing when things like this happen. Let's play it again because this was sick. I don't know how you're not pumped about TJ Vasher right now. I mean, it's not like unique opinion, right? Like there's a lot of people now who are going to be pumped about him, right? That's just kind of the way things go. And this was true before Friday, to be very clear. It's going to be very difficult for TJ Vasher not to make this roster. I thought it was so interesting. A few weeks ago, ESPN in their training camp kind of prediction pieces, they had all their beat writers talk about offseason MVPs for their teams. And obviously you could go with like the low-hanging fruit. You could say like Dak Prescott or whatever. But Todd Archer, who covers the Cowboys for ESPN, picked TJ Vasher as his offseason MVP. And so like the hype has been here. This is not brand new. This isn't just some dude who made one catch, on one day at training camp. No, like this has been rising. And so we're starting to see that kind of manifest itself. I thought it was also interesting. ESPN also did initial 53-man roster predictions, which were, before camp, it's so hard to know things, but still in the 53-man roster prediction had TJ Vasher in at wide receiver over Simi Fehoko. I think if you had asked a lot of us after the roster fallout of the offseason ended, if to pick the top 5 receivers on the Cowboys, we would have said some version or some variation of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup after the draft, Jalen Tolbert, obviously. Noah Brown is in that mix. And then I think Simi Fehoko would have been number 5 for a lot of people. Now, James Washington obviously factors into that mix now as well. Maybe if the Cowboys go 6, then you feel like Simi is wide receiver 6. But I don't know how TJ Vasher is not going to make this team, especially if we consider the opportunity of Michael Gallup starting the season on the PUP list. I cannot see a world where he's not part of this team in one way, shape, or form when they start the season off against the Buccaneers. So TJ Vasher with the catch of camp so far, really making a name for himself. You love to see it. That's awesome. Good for him. But let's move on. Leighton Vander Esch, I think, having a nice camp so far. Jabril Cox getting a little bit of buzz and love. I love to see that. And Mike McCarthy said they were going to take it slow with him. But we cannot forget Leighton Vander Esch. The one question has always been, can he stay healthy? And if he can, we know that there's a good football player lurking in that body. Almost came away with the interception right there. Again, this is all good. This is all very positive. I feel like there isn't really anything bad to take away from camp so far. It's been 3 days, but still, you look around the NFL, different teams at different camps, and there are some things that don't feel great for those fan bases. Aside from maybe you're a little bit worried about Kelvin Joseph losing against TJ Vasher and Dennis Houston, whatever. I really think that everything feels really solid for the Cowboys contextually, looking at who their roster is, or rather what their roster is at this point in time. Something that I think is important, and we talk about the pass catching options, that's where TJ Vasher comes in, et cetera, is Dalton Schultz. We know that Schultz has a very long and storied history and chemistry with Dak Prescott, one of the higher levels of chemistry with him than any other pass catcher on this team. They continue to look good. This continues to sort of feel like a pair that is going to connect early and often throughout all of 2022.
20. Work.
Alex Storm asks, is Turpin not in the mix yet, RJ, or do you consider him more of a special teamer over wide receiver? Thank you for setting me up, Alex, because I accidentally played the Turpin highlight a little while ago, so now we can play it on purpose. I mean, he's getting in the mix right now, but he did get involved, according to reports from members of the local media that are out in Oxnard right now, in a jet sweep. If you've been following the Cowboys for a while, that gives you some shades of Lucky Whitehead. And I mean, that was a really, the Lucky Whitehead era ended in dramatic fashion, but he brought something legitimate to the Cowboys team. He had a very unique skill set. He was obviously their returner as well, Lucky was. And it didn't hit a lot, and it was really predictable when the Cowboys were going to use him. So as long as there's a level of unpredictability, a level of spontaneity, then I really like this. I mean, it's very clear that Kevontae Turpin is likely going to make this roster when it comes to his contributions, in the return game. And I think we're really going to get to see that on display throughout special teams. By the way, Lucky Whitehead returned a kickoff for a touchdown on special teams. In fact, if you're ever on Jeopardy, the first play to ever happen in the NFL's return to Los Angeles, the preseason game that Dallas played at the Coliseum against the Rams, was a Lucky Whitehead kickoff return. That was Dak Prescott's debut and Des Bryant's return. It was all sorts of fun. But Lucky Whitehead offered something very unique, very Lance Dunbar-ish. I mean, that is a great skill, a great asset that the Cowboys certainly have to work with in terms of Kevontae Turpin. Not, a lot of special teams work on display, as mentioned. But still, I mean, I think somebody who the Cowboys are very intrigued by, and rightfully so.
And they want to spread it out a little bit more, too. too. That's fine. So, okay, so we'll put CeeDee here and everybody else over there. But did we try maybe the other side from one of them, Dave? On the other side of the goalpost?
He's fast. There's no denying it. He is fast, and I'm very excited, as I know you all are too, to kind of see that worked in a few different ways. I mentioned Dalton Schultz a little while ago, and obviously the connection that he has with Dak Prescott. That's one of those places where we talk about the Cowboys don't really have a lot of depth. I mean, do you trust who the tight end 2 on this team is? Do you trust Sean McEwen? Do you trust Jake Ferguson? Jake Ferguson got in the mix. As mentioned, this was a red zone day, so lots of purely red zone work. And Jake Ferguson came down with a nice touchdown. This is, I think, if he's going to have any kind of success early on with the Cowboys as he develops and sort of molds his route running game, it's going to be in moments like this, although we hope it's not exactly like this, but still, this was a nice moment for Jake Ferguson, the rookie.
Oh, there we go. Woo!
Good jump ball right there. I mean, having to catch it low a little bit, still not like perfectly executed, but that's cool. The whole purpose of this is to experiment, is to do things that you're figuring out, you're learning, you're kind of, finding and making your way as an offense and how you're going to use guys and their skill sets and whatnot. And on the subject of that, Tony Pollard used it, down near the red zone on a screenplay. Just an idea would be to do that in the regular season, in games of consequence and moments of consequence. That would just be my 2 cents, my idea. If there was an idea jar or something, that would be what I would suggest. Hey, congratulations to Tony Pollard. I'm going to play this again because we had some people that came in a little bit late. The TJ Vasher catch this is what, if you are looking for kind of the big takeaway, the big moment here, TJ Vasher on Friday made the catch of Dallas Cowboys camp so far in the back of the end zone over Kelvin Joseph. Will Grier throwing him the ball, and is really, if anyone has taken a leap and cemented themselves or really done a lot to cement themselves on the roster, it is TJ Vasher, the offseason MVP and the early on training camp MVP. You love to see it. You love to see it. Great job, TJ Vasher, officially crowning him training camp MVP through 3 days, which is a huge honor here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel, of course, as everybody knows. Alex Storm says, I hate to say it, but that Vasher catch reminds me of the OBJ catch a few years back. That was 8 years ago. Isn't that crazy to think about? That was 8 years ago, the Odell Beckham Jr. catch. So impressive moment. Thankfully, no injuries to report or no injuries of note. Again, and always trying to keep you updated, staying, in the moment here. But no injuries coming out of Friday's practice for the Dallas Cowboys. So they've gotten through 3 practices, and they haven't even put pads on, to be fair, without anything of note on that front. However, in case you missed it, during Thursday's practice, somewhat early on, rookie offensive tackle Matt Waletzko left the practice field with what was discussed as a shoulder issue. It was reported that the Cowboys are going to have an MRI done, going to kind of figure things out, go under the hood, figure it all out, et cetera, et cetera. The Dallas Morning News reported on Friday that he does not need surgery, but he is going to miss some time. Something I talked about during Thursday's show was the Cowboys, even before this happened, needed depth at the swing tackle spot. The Cowboys entered camp. The Cowboys landed on Oxnard with rookie 5th-round pick Matt Waletzko and second-year 4th-round pick Josh Ball, who barely, has barely any NFL action, was redshirted last year, with the two of them competing for their swing tackle, which is a precarious enough situation, but when you're doing that on a team that features Tyron Smith at left tackle, it's really just kind of asking for trouble. So this heightens the need. This underscores how important it is for the Cowboys to bring in some depth, and bring in some bodies, and bring in somebody to really kind of offer what they don't have, and that is peace of mind. That is security. Right now, the Cowboys are in a difficult spot. They have Josh Ball still, obviously, and interestingly enough, the Dallas Morning News, in the reporting of this news, this specific news, Michael Gehlken noted that Tyler Smith will effectively kind of split backup left tackle duties with Josh Ball. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily love that. I mean, I think that Tyler Smith is the left tackle of the future, like everybody around here does, obviously, but I mean, you cannot throw that much at Tyler Smith right away. I mean, you have to let Tyler Smith learn one position in the NFL. I mean, play him at left tackle all of camp if you want, for all I care. But you have to let him learn something. You can't kind of, we've seen the Cowboys do this with different players in the past. Let him play one place. This is already a tall enough task on its own to learn at the NFL level. So you don't need to be doing this. But as far as would-be veteran free agents, let's get a list up here for you. That's Matt Waletzko, obviously, dealing with the injury. These are all of the top free agents available, according to our friends at Spotrac. Dwayne Brown, Brian Bulaga, Eric Fisher, Darrell Williams, Marcus Cannon. Yes, I'm just reading this list up and down to you. Zach Banner, Brandon Shell, Kendall Lamb, Mike Remmer, Sam Tevy, Bobby Massey, Ty Nseki, who was on the Cowboys last year, Jaders, Odea Abushi, Josh Wells, and Cameron Clark. Look, the Cowboys can say anything they want about how they like the guys that they have, but right now they don't have one of those guys, and we don't know. I mean, it's, again, I don't want to just keep, banging this drum, but it's already a difficult thing to count on Matt Waletzko and Josh Ball combining for your swing tackle. But we don't know how much time Matt Waletzko is going to miss. And obviously the Cowboys have a good idea, but whatever time he misses, he's a rookie. He's a rookie 5th-round pick. He hasn't even completed 2 practices yet throughout training camp. So yeah, you should probably get somebody else in here to hedge your bet. That's the idea that we talked about on Thursday when it came to linebacker and Anthony Barr. It would be awesome to see the Cowboys hedge their bet at wide receiver, even with TJ Vasher showing up. So we'll see what the Cowboys do, but just a bit of a bummer that Matt Waletzko is going to miss some time. We'll see how long that winds up being. We'll, of course, keep you updated at bloggingtheboys.com as more information continues to come out. On the subject, though, of roster up and down things, it's kind of a jump ropey thing this time of year. Rookie cornerback Quandre Mosley, during practice on Friday, was elevated from the PUP list to the active roster. So that's great to see. Passes his physical. That's awesome. That leaves only 3 other players on the Cowboys PUP list at the moment, which notably is headlined by Michael Gallup. My dog is barking in the background. I don't know what's happening, but I promise I'm okay. Elsewhere in the division, I mean, the whole goal of BTB Daily is to kind of keep you updated, give you everything you need to know as a Dallas Cowboys fan. And while every other team in the NFC East is insignificant, they are significant in that the Dallas Cowboys will play 6 games against them. And so we certainly want to keep our eyes peeled on what's going on in Washington. And Ron Rivera, Commanders head coach, said that defensive end Chase Young, who obviously is amazing, may start the season on the PUP list. And the reason that is important is if Chase Young begins the season on the PUP list, that would automatically take him out of the first Cowboys-Commanders game of the season, because that game takes place in Week 4 at AT&T Stadium. If you are on the PUP list at the beginning of the season, we've talked about this with Michael Gallup, you have to miss at least 4 games. That is down from 6 a year ago, but if Chase Young is on that list when the regular season begins, he will be out of the first Cowboys game against the Commanders. He will also be out the first Eagles game against the Commanders, because that happens in the first 4 weeks as well. But other than that, the big takeaway from Friday, obviously things will continue to roll right along. The Cowboys have another practice on Saturday. It's football season. There's football stuff in the air in every which way. I think an appropriate note to end on again is that TJ Vasher made the catch of camp so far. I know I've played it twice, but I can't get enough of this thing. This was amazing. We've been wandering through the football desert for several months. So to get something like this on the 3rd day, thank you so much, TJ Vasher. Thank you, seriously, from the bottom of all of our hearts. I did want to get to one question that I saw right here. Let's see. Ronnie Pridemore says, how is Steele looking? No pads, obviously, but getting blown by from all defensive ends or just Parsons? It's really just Mike. Are we going to fault Terrence Steele for losing to Micah Parsons? No, but I really think, and we've had this take or conversation a million different times. Oh, it's going to be so great for Morris Claiborne and Des Bryant to go up against each other. It's going to be so great for DeMarcus Ware to be going at Tyron Smith every day. It's going to be so great, blah, blah. Like we've said this when it comes to those kinds of things. It's going to be so great for CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs to work against each other every day, blah, blah. It really is. I think it's definitely a bit of a scary bet to trust Terrence Steele. I'm with you on that. But I mean, he took a huge leap in year two from year one, obviously. And if we can trust that kind of work ethic, working up against a Micah Parsons, I think it's fair to trust that Terrence Steele is in the right place. So losing to Micah Parsons, definitely no shame in that. This was Friday's edition of BTB Daily. Like I said, here every single weekday in the afternoon to talk about the Dallas Cowboys with you, the loyal, wonderful, perfect Dallas Cowboys fan. This is a Blogging the Boys YouTube channel exclusive. We do not podcast these shows, so please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any thoughts, questions, or recommendations on what we can do better, we certainly would love to hear them. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. My DMs are open, so if you don't want to say whatever, or if you're limited by a character limit, you can always hit me up that way. I'm on TikTok at rj.ochoa. You can email me if that's more your thing. If you want to live in 2003, rj.ochoa at sbnation.com, or you can always leave me a comment down below and we'll get to those also. But for now, I hope you have a great weekend. I don't know what you have in store. I don't know what's on the menu. I don't know what sports you're going to watch, or movies you're going to watch, or shows you're going to watch, but I hope it is a wonderful time. I hope you have the greatest weekend of all time. You know why? Because you deserve it. We will see you on Monday for BTB Daily. Make sure to subscribe again here to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Blogging the Boys podcast network, and check out bloggingtheboys.com. And like I said, have a great day. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you next time.